Hey guys, as I have mentioned in previous videos, last Monday was a year for me since I had started my channel. Also, I just uploaded my 100th video. I can't believe it. It's gone by so fast. In the past year, I have learned so much. Before starting my channel, I had no clue how to edit or upload, how anything worked. I barely even knew how to post on Instagram, and I also didn't know anyone who had a channel. In the last year, I have met so many people virtually and then also in real life who have said, I would love to start a channel, but I haven't because of X, Y, and Z. I want to cover those. I'm going to start with what I have physically learned, getting into all the tech stuff, my equipment and whatnot, and then the middle to end will be about my emotional journey and what I have learned mentally and the struggles that I have had, because not a lot of people usually talk about that. If it's not already obvious, this video is not about how to get thousands and thousands of views in your first year. I don't know how to do that. This video is for anyone who maybe is just beginning a channel and is struggling, or if you want to start one, let's go ahead and talk about it. I also want to say too, if you are a regular subscriber of mine and you clicked on this video to support me, thank you. Even if you have no interest in starting a YouTube channel, I do think some of the things I'm going to discuss will apply to outside endeavors as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Two things I want to say before getting into my notes. Yes, I have taken notes, which is one of the tips that I'm going to talk about. But one is I have a beauty channel and I may reference beauty related things every now and again, but I still think all the things I'm going to talk about will still apply even if you have a channel that's not about makeup. And then number two is I also asked on Instagram if anyone had any questions. I asked on Instagram and on Twitter. I am going to answer those questions, but I'm going to answer them organically rather than doing like a Q&A type of thing. Getting started. I wanted a channel for a couple years before I actually started one. Before I built up the nerve to start one. It wasn't about anything except for that I was scared. I mean, it's a scary thing to put yourself on camera, and then also just talking to yourself in a room by yourself with just your dog. It's very strange, and it does take some time to get used to. But anyway, I wanted a channel for a while, and what I decided to do, I made it a goal of last year, which was 2018, and I bought myself a planner, I guess around February. I didn't actually start my channel till August, so that just kind of goes to show how scared I was. But in February, I wrote down every single idea for my channel that I could possibly think of, and I still run off of those ideas. I still have them in another planner that I use now, but I'm still using notes from that time. I think that was really important because I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about. I would suggest maybe mapping out what you want your channel to be about and see how many ideas you can come up with, because if that inspiration isn't there, you're really going to struggle. Say you post your first video and you're like, now what? Now what do I say? So that would be my first step, and my first recommendation is make sure you have things that you want to discuss. When it comes to the tech aspects of starting a YouTube channel, like I said, I am very inept when it comes to technology. I pretty much know how to use my phone, and that's all I knew back then. But luckily for me, my husband George is the tech guy. He actually built the computer that we currently use. I can't even imagine trying to do something like that. But he also gifted me what I currently use to film and edit, which is the iPad Pro 2. It does have its advantages. I am, however, saving up for a camera. I want something with a little bit more bells and whistles, something that focuses and that blurs out the background and that kind of stuff, because the iPad is pretty basic with what it can do. But either way, I like it because I don't have to worry about transferring anything. I can go from right from filming to editing. All I have to do is plug it in. I don't have to worry about anything happening to what I actually shot. As far as using iMovie to edit, it does have its challenges. It can be very glitchy, as I have noted in several of my videos when it's been too late or I don't want to refilm something. iMovie can be a little bit glitchy, but it is great if you're beginning. It is very intuitive. I learned everything I pretty much could have learned on there within the first month, I would say. I did occasionally have to look up like a tutorial or something, but for the most part, everything I learned on my own. I'm currently trying to learn Adobe Premiere Pro, and I keep putting it off because every time I go and just look at it, I'm already so overwhelmed. So if you are just starting, iMovie is great, or anything that's just a little bit more simple. It's not going to matter so much in the beginning. Focus on your content and what you're talking about and getting that perfected before you're actually working on all the graphics and everything else that you can include in your video. That's just like more fun stuff that you can do later on. Aside from learning how to edit your video, there's one more very important thing that you will need to learn how to do when you are starting a YouTube channel, and that is how to make a thumbnail. Thumbnails are easily my favorite part of having a YouTube channel. I love making them, aside from engaging with people, of course, but I savor my thumbnails for the very end. I wait till my video is uploading or it's already uploaded, and then I go ahead and get into my thumbnail. It's like quiet time. I usually throw on a podcast, and it means my video is done and it's ready to go. When I started, I used a free app, which was Thumbnail Maker, and my first one is very basic. It's me with a product and a couple hearts coming out of it. But as you advance, there are other apps out there. I have two that I use all the time, and that is PicMonkey and PicsArt. Both of them I pay for, and it is $8 a month. When I started with the free options that they had, and then I advanced and went ahead and paid for them because I thought it was worth it. But when you're first starting, I would definitely recommend to not pay for the apps and just go with the free options, just to make sure you like being on YouTube first. One of the questions I was asked was about how to make an intro and outro. Now mine is very basic and it needs to be updated, but what I did is I made a graphic in PicMonkey, and then I added it to Videorama, which is a free app that you can use, and that's how I put my graphic into motion. And then I added music. Music is where I do think it gets pretty important to have an intro and outro, at least in my opinion, because when that song comes on, it's just kind of like an instant right away. I know who I'm watching, I am there for their video, and it gets people excited. The best example I have of this is Smoky Glow. I love the song that she uses for an intro, and the second I click it, I instantly recognize it as her video and her song, and it's just kind of that reminder, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As for the music source that I use Epidemic, which is $15 a month. However, like I keep saying, I would recommend using free music in the beginning, royalty-free music. I think I used SoundCloud in the beginning, but now I use Epidemic, and I really quite like them. I like them because they have a lot of music and a lot of options. They do have sound effects on there as well. But as far as their search function and how you can actually search for the music that you want, you can search by genre, but then you can also search by the energy that you want, low, medium, or high, which is really helpful when you're trying to set a mood for your video. Other things that are important to buy is lighting. My house has the worst lighting. It's warm, it's very yellow, and now I have 4 lights on me, if you can believe that. I have these little lights in the back, the little twinkle lights, but I have 2 basic lights that I got from Amazon. I just looked right into them, and that really messed with my eyes. But I have 2 very basic lights from Amazon that I got in the very beginning. They really didn't do too much for me, but they worked and they were cheap. And then I went ahead and invested in umbrella lights, which are on my side. Those are really nice. I have a little remote for them, which is great. I can adjust how much light that I'm getting on me, and I will have those linked down below because they have been really kind to me so far. You also have your background. Now I have 2 backgrounds, but I didn't start with that. I started with this background and I had it over in this corner. I really like this background for my talkie videos. I like that it shows a little bit of my character. It's a little bit quirky. I got a Princess Bride book back here. I just added that, but it's still like a little bit glam. It's nice to have something to look at, for people to look at. I love when I'm watching a channel and I can see like what they like by their background. And then the other one I have is more of a frame, and that I put bed sheets on, and that's what I like to do for my makeup tutorial. So I can also link that down below. I just go ahead and use a little bit of steam on it before I film so that it doesn't really look like a bed sheet, but I can have that link down below so you guys can see it. You don't need 2 backgrounds. That's just me being extra. I thought it would help people know exactly what kind of video they were getting into, and just to have that variety for my channel, but that's what I started with. So yeah, as you can see, starting a channel is pretty costly, and it is costly to maintain one as well. That's why I would recommend starting slow, getting things before you know you actually want to launch your first video or upload your video. Kind of prepare for that time, because once you start, you're gonna realize, oh, I need this app, or oh, I need this thing, or oh, this light doesn't work. And if you have a beauty channel, it's very expensive. You're constantly trying to keep up with what's coming out. A new palette came out and you want to use that, so it can get very costly. budget, and then buy things slowly. That's one of the biggest things that I can recommend. Another question I was asked was how to decide on your first video. Well, like I mentioned before, getting that planner and writing down all those ideas and picking one that you feel passionate about, that passion will translate even though you are super nervous. Go watch my first video if you haven't seen it. I would like to say I'm embarrassed, but I'm not, because I did something that is terrifying that most people wouldn't do. So I'm still proud of that video, but I am nothing like myself. The whole time I'm like stuttering. I have fake nails on the video, so I'm like doing all this weird kind of stuff, and it's just nothing like me. But you can still see that I'm excited about what I'm talking about, even if it doesn't come out the way that I want it to. My first video, no lie, took me 6 hours to film. That's including setting up my equipment, but I kept having to go back, and I was so focused on everything being perfect, like my hair not having any frizz, my shirt not being wrinkled. I was so focused on those things that no one cares about. Don't do that to yourself. Be kind. And when you're choosing your first video, just make sure it's something that you care about. That's something that's going to come across. You can't fake that kind of thing. Another thing I wanted to add to that, and I can only speak for myself, this may not apply to you, but I think the second or third video I did was a first impression, and I was playing with makeup. Keeping my hands busy and doing my makeup felt so much more natural than here, like when you're just sitting here and talking to a camera. That feels a little bit crazy, but when you're sitting there playing with makeup and your hands are kept busy, it feels like you're kind of talking to a friend. I would maybe, if it's a beauty related channel, maybe trying that first versus a video when you're just talking to yourself, because I think it can be just a little bit easier. Set yourself up for success. So I am a natural planner. You may not be. I am obsessive about making lists and planning things, even if I don't really end up following through or doing them. But I think planning when it comes to having a YouTube channel is essential. I'm actually going to show this. It's not filled out yet. This is a 2019 and 2020 planner, so I will show blank things. So what I did when I get a new yearly planner, I take those original ideas that I had that I talked about in the very beginning, and I put them into the back of my planner. That way they are there and I can look at them whenever I am planning out my month. So this is January 2020. I have nothing on here yet, but all of this is pretty much filled. So what I do is I utilize the monthly side tab on this spread, on your month spread, and I will fill out things regularly throughout the year. However those ideas may come to me, I will go ahead and jot them down. Say I get an idea tomorrow for January about like New Year's resolutions or something, I'll go ahead and fill it out. I also will go ahead and automatically film anything, put in anything that I already always film, like my thrillers and killers will be there. So by the time the month comes around and I'm starting to plan for it, I'm not struggling to figure out what to film. I already have several ideas. Like next month in October, this whole thing is filled out, and even some up here, because I have so many ideas. It's actually just filming them, but this is something I think that's really helpful. I do it all in pencil because of course things change, but when that month comes up, usually a couple weeks beforehand, I will go ahead and plug in the videos I actually want to film and on which days, and that's how I plan that physically. Speaking of planning, something else that I do that I think it could be very helpful is I do what I like to call my scripts and descriptions for the week prior to filming my videos. So say I want to have 2 videos next week. On Saturday, tomorrow, 2 days from now, I will be going in and I will be writing scripts for those videos, and I will also be filling out my description boxes. I use my notes app in my phone, and I have it kind of like a format already there, and I fill it all out. As far as scripts go, I don't write down like a full script like you were acting and you had to read off of it. It's more like bulletin point notes. So for this video, I have a lot more notes than I usually would because I have a lot to say. But if I'm doing like a get ready with me or something like that, I will put down possible makeup I want to use. I will also put down things that happened during the week, little things that I just wouldn't probably remember while I'm sitting there. If I want to talk about a movie, whatever else, I might just jot it down. It's like more like talking points, and I think that can be really helpful, because when you're filming, it is a little bit strange to bring up discussion. It's not like you have someone in front of you that you're bouncing back and forth with and you're having like a conversation with. So I think having those little things can be helpful. And as far as having your description box filled out, I think it's one less thing that you have to do when it's time to upload your video. I just copy and paste it right onto the YouTube app when I am ready to upload my video. Another thing that I do that I think could be helpful for some of you is I set up my space the night before. I know I can procrastinate with the best of them, and I can put things off because I don't feel like filming today because I have to do this thing first. So by setting up my space the night before, it's one less thing I have to worry about. I can literally just sit down. I have to turn on a couple lights, but then I can start filming. If I'm doing like a get ready with me, I put my makeup out the night before that I want to use, so I don't have to make those decisions. I also will wash my brushes the night before, and I think that's a pretty handy tip. I know that doesn't work for everybody. I don't have kids, I have a dog. I don't have to worry about her getting into my makeup or knocking over lights or anything like that. So I know that wouldn't work for everybody, but something else I wanted to throw out there. I know some of these little tips and tricks may seem silly, but for me, knowing that those things are done and out of the way, it makes things a lot easier when it comes time to filming, editing, and uploading. It just takes away those precious minutes, because things will go wrong while you're filming. Things will go wrong while you're editing. You know, your camera's going to die. Whatever you use to edit will stop working. If you're in the middle of filming, someone will start mowing. The door is going to ring. You're going to have to get up and pee. Perfect example, a car is going to go by very loud. All of those things are going to happen, and you're going to have to kind of stop in the moment and figure it out. So those are precious minutes that you are losing when you really are excited and want to get up a video. So doing those little things beforehand can be very beneficial. Consistency and engagement. So for those of you who regularly watch me, you know I am not the queen of consistency, but I have always tried to maintain at least that I post and upload a video once a week. I think one time I missed once when I was on vacation, but for the most part, I have consistently uploaded once a week. I strive for 3 in the beginning, which I will be talking about in just a little bit. But aside from when you upload and you post your video, there are other types of engagement and other types of consistency. One thing for sure is always make sure you are talking to the people who are watching your videos. If you don't know, you probably don't know if you don't have a channel, just like people do like follow for follow on Instagram, people also do that on YouTube. And sometimes I'll do that with like another small creator, and I will look at their comment section and they won't be talking to anyone who is watching their videos, none of their subscribers, and I just don't really get that. That's the best part of all of this, is engaging with everybody and consistently doing that. It just really helps to grow and promote your channel. You never know who you're going to meet and what they're going to say and what you're going to learn from them. So that's just I feel like it's one of the best parts for me personally. And then also engaging outside of YouTube. Now, I don't have the little, I don't know what you even call it, like the subscription feed where I can comment and post to YouTube's comment. Like, you know, when you go on your subscription page, I can't do that. I think you have to have like a certain number of subscribers. But what I can do is I can post on other forms of social media. I have a Facebook page, that's Kayla Remarks. I have an Instagram and a Twitter. And even if I miss an upload or I just decide that I'm not going to film something that day, I usually try to post it on those sites. That way people know like I'm still communicating, and it's not like, oh, where's her video? She said she was going to do that thing. No one's ever done that before. But either way, just showing that I care enough to say like, oh, this is what's happening. This is what's going on in my life. So my video is not going to come out the day that I want it to. And then also just engaging in a way as well with your subscribers and making sure you are putting up what they want to see. So I try to do different polls on Instagram and on Twitter. Usually on Instagram, I do it a lot in stories just to see what people want to see me film versus just doing it all on my own. Because at the end of the day, yes, this channel is for me and it's my hobby and I really enjoy doing it, but I want to make sure that people enjoy what I'm making. Knowing your limits and mental challenges. So this is where it gets more personal for me. Every piece of YouTube advice I've ever seen, and they're usually from beauty gurus, that's just the kind of content I watch, but they always say the same 2 things. And one of them is to start cheap, which is true. And then 2 is to post 3 times a week. I see why this is valid, but at the same time, I went in with the mentality that I had to post 3 times a week or else I was a failure. Why even do it? Why even do YouTube if you can't keep up with everybody else? And that's truly how I felt. And for the first 4 months of having my channel, I did post 3 times a week, usually pretty consistently. I tried to do 3 times a week. Sometimes it was 2. But if I couldn't get that 3rd video up, I freaked out, and it had such a horrible effect on me. It made YouTube not fun anymore. Like, all I talked about was YouTube. You can ask my husband, and he was so sweet, and he stuck by all of it. He was very supportive, but all I talked about was YouTube, trying to figure things out and learn things, and it just kind of took over everything. I had a full-time job, and I know a lot of people when they're just starting, a lot of small creators do still have full-time jobs. It's not like you're making any money off of YouTube. And trying to juggle that with getting 3 videos up a week, I know some of you do it. I have some YouTube friends here that I don't even know how they get out the content that they do. But for me personally, it didn't work. And I want to tell you, if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean that you suck. I really thought I sucked, and at the same time, it put so much pressure on me when I was filming, because I would film, let's say, on Monday, and then I knew I would want to get up my video on Tuesday, and all I thought while I was filming is that I have to hurry this up so I can edit this video and get it up, and it had such a bad, like, so much wear and tear on me. And I've said this before, and I said it in a Get Ready With Me, I think around February, and I think that's also when I announced that I wouldn't be doing 3 videos a week anymore. I realized through doing YouTube that I have some form of anxiety, and I say it like that because I haven't gone and talked to anyone. That is one of my goals for this year. I still have a few months left. I have always been able to avoid the things that cause me anxiety, so I don't think I've ever had to come to terms with it. But what would happen while I was filming, this is getting into those couple months there when I just felt so much pressure to get my video up and to film. What would happen is I would be in the middle of filming and I would get so hung up on things. It would take me hours to film what would get edited down to a 13-minute video. And the worst thing that happened, the worst time in my filming, I don't even know if I put that video up or if I did. I can't remember. I think I quit and stopped doing it. What happened is I was basically watching myself have an anxiety attack, and it wasn't any fun, and I was like, I can't do this to myself anymore. And my husband had said to me several times, like, maybe you should just scale it back. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that because I said I was going to do 3 times a week. I'm the kind of person that if I say I'm going to do something, I have to do it. I don't want to let anyone else down. Not that anyone would have been let down, but that was kind of how I felt at the time. I think for me, I had to realize what was causing that mental block and the anxiety. Now, I still have bad days. Actually, yesterday was a pretty bad day, and today's going much easier, which is funny. Yesterday, lesson number 1, when I'm saying this, I can't believe I forgot to say this. My battery died yesterday. I filmed this entire video and I didn't realize my iPad was dead. So I was just talking to nothing for about half of my video. So lesson number 1, charge your battery. But yeah, I had to realize what was causing that anxiety or those anxious feelings. And I think a big part of that was looking dumb or stupid, or people were going to comment like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's been the exact opposite. I'm going to talk about that at the end. And I would struggle with what I was saying and forming my words. I would second guess everything I was saying. And then a big part of that too is put me behind a camera and there's so many words that I can't say. And I would just constantly get so hung up on the fact that I couldn't say this word, and I would repeat it, whatever the word was. It was a different one every single time. I want to tell you too, because I don't think a lot of people talk about this, when you make a mistake, roll with it. Make it into something funny. Zoom in, do something kind of, quirky with it, rather than trying to redo it over and over again. Because by the time you get to your 30th take of the same word, it doesn't sound like you anymore. But yeah, just make something silly out of it. People do not care. And once I realized how much of a struggle I was having with that, I noticed in other people's videos, big creators that I watch, I noticed when they mess up a word and they just make something funny out of it. So that's a big thing I would recommend that not a lot of people have said, and yeah, just roll with it. And the last thing I want to drive home with that section is don't let the pressure of uploading 3 times a week, 2 times a week, whatever it is. Even if you can only do once a month, whatever it is, you are doing something that is scary to do. You are doing something that is getting your creative juices flowing. I mean, it is something positive in the end, and you want it to be a hobby. You don't want it to feel like pressure or like work. So don't let that fear of having to get a video up affect how much you enjoy doing YouTube, because I did, and it wasn't a great place to be. Set reasonable goals. So aside from setting reasonable goals around reasonable, I can't say that word today. See, there's my challenge word. Aside from setting rational goals with starting a channel and your uploading schedule, also be rational when it comes to numbers. When I first started YouTube, my goal was to have 1,000 subscribers within a year. I wanted to be monetized. As you can see, that did not happen. I have about half of that, almost. I'm almost there. I wanted to be monetized. It's not everything, getting monetization, but at the same time, having a channel is expensive. The equipment that you buy, when you have a beauty related channel, you're buying a lot of makeup, let alone that the time that you're putting into your videos. It's a lot. So whenever I do get that 25-cent paycheck from YouTube or Google, I'm going to be very excited. But in the beginning, I definitely focused on the numbers a little bit more than I should have. There's an app called YouTube Studio for creators, and I was constantly looking at it. I was trying to see how many people were watching my channel, if I was getting dislikes and that kind of stuff. And those things are good to know. But when you only look at the numbers and how many people are watching your video, it was 18 in the beginning usually. When that's all you look at, it can be very discouraging. Instead, I would say engage with the people who are watching your video, see what they want you to do. You never know the relationship that you're going to form. I have found so many friends through having a YouTube channel. It's been incredible. Focus on that. Focus on what you've done. Did you do something scary today? Did you upload a video? Did you start a conversation about something? Did you make someone's day brighter? Focus on that versus just the numbers, because that's just not a good headspace to be in. Something else I did that isn't fun to say, I would also compare myself to other smaller channels. I would look at their videos, how many videos they've made, how many views they've got, and how many subscribers they have. And if they had more subscribers than me and less videos, I would think, oh, I'm working so hard. How come they're getting views? Why am I not getting that? That's an ugly place to be. I don't want to admit that, but I'm a Cancer. Okay, forgive me. Don't do that to yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. That's a good thing to say in all day, every life. Don't compare yourself to the person at work or whoever else it may be. But definitely don't do that when you start a channel. Again, a lot of it is the algorithm. Maybe they have better thumbnails than you. Maybe they have, like, you know, a bigger personality than you do. Someone I really admire and I really love is Teresa is Dead, and she hasn't been on YouTube for that long. I think it's less than a year, and she is so funny, and she has a pretty big potty mouth, but I love her so much. I love her potty mouth, but she has gained so many subscribers so quickly because she has formed friendships with other people on YouTube, and then she's also just really personal with her subscribers, and I definitely look up to her and I really enjoy her channel. I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, don't compare yourself to other channels, because that's no good. And this is why it's important to take notes, because I forgot something else I want to say. Looking back, I'm actually happy I didn't get a lot of views in the first, I even say like first 6 months, because I was still learning what I was doing. I was making mistakes in my editing. I wasn't completely comfortable talking on camera. And if I would have gotten more views at that time, more views equals more people equals more mean people leaving comments. You know, people are just trolls on the internet, and I don't think I could have handled that in the beginning. And now I have a little bit of a backbone, and I also too have this whole catalog for my subscribers who have left me the sweetest, kindest comments. And I actually take screenshots sometime of those comments, because when that day comes and someone just leaves me something atrocious, I can look at that comment and that screenshot and say, no, this is who you are, not what they said about you. So that's another thing too, is just not focusing on views, because there's so much more important things about your YouTube journey than just a number. And lastly, what I've learned. My biggest fear when starting a channel, when I decided to start, was that people were going to be mean. I think that's the fear for a lot of people. I thought I was going to get dislikes and a lot of just mean comments. People are going to be nasty and just rip me apart. And that just hasn't been the case. That is not an invitation. Of course, I've gotten constructive criticism, and you do have to take that. And I actually enjoy getting that. And then also too, I have gotten a little bit of snark, but for the most part, I have had mostly just love and support, the exact opposite of what I thought and the exact opposite of what I was so fearful of. Of course, I can only speak for my channel and the experience that I've had, but for the most part, it's been a really beautiful place to be. I did not expect the sense of community that I would feel after starting my channel. I have met just so many beautiful people that DM me on Instagram and we talk, we've gotten to know each other, and it's been such a beautiful thing for me. I didn't know I was going to make these friendships, and that's truly what does help to motivate me. Yes, I enjoy creating and I enjoy the whole process of it. The fact that I get to make something, even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's about an eyeshadow, that helps take someone away from whatever's going on in their life, even if it's just like the silly little stress. They watch my video for 15 minutes and it kind of transports them out of that. That's what we use entertainment for. That's what YouTube's for. Music, movies, television, that's what we use it for. It's a distraction. And the fact that I get to do that for someone, or even just make them smile or help them learn something or see something, that is so fucking cool, and I love that about YouTube, and I love that about what I get to do. I thought when I started my channel that people would be harsh and that I would be judged, and I know I keep saying this, but it's been the exact opposite. I've gotten so much support, and it has truly astounded me because I had no clue it was going to be like that. The amount of love that I get, even just when people tag me on like a new makeup release, the fact that they thought of me, that is so cool. And the relationships that I've formed from doing this, it's been amazing. I've gained confidence with having a YouTube channel. I've learned so much physically, like how to edit and how to actually format a post on Instagram. I learned how to do that too over this year, and I've learned so much there, but I've also gained this confidence in myself, and I have truly felt a sense of belonging starting a YouTube channel. It's not for everybody, and I want to reiterate throughout this video, it's not coming from a place of like, oh, I think I'm an expert and I think I know everything. That's not it. I just want to share what I do know. Even if it's just a little bit, I want to share what I do know. I hope this video isn't too jumbled. I'm pretty sure it is. It's a little bit all over the place, but I hope maybe you learned something if you're wanting to start a channel. And if you have a channel, let me know below like the kind of things you do, your little tips and tricks. Also, if you want to start a channel or if you're beginning one and you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. If you aren't comfortable doing that, you can also DM me. I'm Kayla Remarks on Twitter and Instagram as well. Feel free to DM me if you have a question. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you really enjoyed it. I thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.